Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at how to properly re-grip a golf club and discuss some best practices and some pitfalls. Re-gripping a club is not the hardest job for a club fitter to do, and a lot of golfers do this for themselves. You do need a couple of items though to do this job properly. Like for instance, we need some double-sided tape, and here I have my 2-inch double-sided grip tape. We need some solvent, like specialized grip solvent or white spirits for example. Of course, we need a new grip and a way to secure the shaft of the club in place. And for this I have my handy shaft clamp right here. And it has an adjustable ring, so I can adjust to the diameter of the shaft. See, it's still too loose, so I'm going to have to make it tighter. And it's a quick way to be able to clamp down the shaft of a golf club. You can also get a rubber like sleeve thing that goes into a vise, and that's also perfectly fine to use. However, you do have to be careful when using one of those vise clamps that you don't tighten the vise too much, because you can deform a steel shaft, and with a graphite shaft you can even crack the shaft. So I prefer to use this shaft clamp. What is also nice to have is some kind of bucket or a pan to catch your excess solvent. Now, my gripping station, where I have my grip tape, my build-up tape, and my shaft clamp, comes equipped with this pan. And this pan has an exit down here with a rubber tube that leads directly back to the bottle, and that's where I catch my excess solvent. You can use all this excess solvent over and over again, and you basically never have to throw it out. At one point your solvent will be just spent through evaporation. With everything ready to go, it's time to take off the old grip from this golf club, and for that it's best to use a hook blade like this. Now, when you're using a hook blade, be careful when you're using it on a graphite shaft, because it is possible to scratch or damage the shaft underneath the grip when you're using this blade. And of course, you're not going to cut that graphite shaft in two, but you might end up with an ugly scratch, or that scratch could even be so deep as to weaken the shaft under there. But this is a steel shaft, so I don't have to worry about that. Now, I always cut away from me, I just hook it under. When hooking it under, I just run it all the way to the butt end of the grip. All right. Now, it is possible that it's not very easy to take off the grip just yet, so I'll show you a little trick that I use to just weaken the bond of the adhesive just a little bit. I'll pick up my handy heat gun and I'll just heat up the grip just a little. Now, if the grip is not too old, then it should probably come off in one go, no problem. And now, because we've cut it in two, we can just peel it off and just strip it like this. There it is. Of course, this grip is now spent. There's no way to reuse this again, but that was okay. This was an old grip, so this one is ready for the trash. If the grip you're taking off is still good and you would like to reuse it, then there is a way to get that grip off without cutting it up and destroying it, but we'll save that for another video, which you can find right here. With the grip now gone, we are left with a golf club that still has this ugly old dried up grip tape still on there, and we have to remove that. Only leave on this old tape if you're planning to build up the new grip anyway with layers of build-up tape, and then only if the layer of tape that's still on the club is left intact. You can see here that from this club, see, it's all cut up, so we should remove this stuff. If you're re-gripping an entire set, then for example, you could put the butt ends of the set into a bucket of warm water for a couple of minutes to loosen up this old grip tape. But I prefer to use my heat gun. Alternatively, you could of course use a hairdryer as well. Now, when you're heating up the shaft, with a steel shaft you don't have to worry about anything other than hurting your hands because you're heating up the shaft too much. But if you're heating up a graphite shaft too much, then the graphite shaft could get damaged by the heat. Remember that a graphite shaft is made by gluing layers of graphite together with epoxy, and epoxy breaks down at high temperatures. So even if this were a graphite shaft, I would still use my heat gun, but I would use it sparingly and I'd be very cautious when heating it up. Just a couple of passes with the heat gun should be enough to loosen up that adhesive, and with any bit of luck you might just pull off this tape in 1 or 2 pieces. If that doesn't work and it's still sticky, you could use a normal blade to scrape off the tape like this. And of course, with a steel shaft that is perfectly safe to do, but be cautious when using the scraping technique with a graphite shaft. Actually, I would never do that, and I would just keep plucking away at it until every last bit of that tape is gone. I'll be able to get all those last pieces of old tape off of there. All the tape is off, but we still have some residue on that shaft. So for that, I will take a little bit of paper towel and I will use some grip solvent on there to clean up this butt end of the shaft. Now that the grip and the grip tape is removed, it's time to clamp down our shaft in our vise or in our shaft clamp. I position the club with the toe directly into the air, and I look to make sure that the lines or the grooves on the club face are at a perfect 90-degree angle. Please support the channel by leaving a like and subscribe to see more club fitting content. Now, with the shaft secure, you could hold the grip next to the shaft. It's going to go into about here, and use a Sharpie to mark this line. This way you know until where you have to put the double-sided tape. I used to do it like that, but because I'm so used to doing regrips, I never mark that spot anymore, and I just use the grip to determine how much tape I need to use. And if I take a full length of grip worth of tape, I can just place that down here and make sure that at the butt end I leave about 1 inch of tape when I put my tape onto the shaft. Of course, we have to smooth it out. And now with the tape on there, we have this little bit of extra tape on the end, and we can twist that together and push that into the butt piece of the shaft. Now we do this twisting of the tape to make sure that the tape doesn't slide with us when we're pushing the grip on. So that is why you twist together the grip tape and push it in back here. Now it's time to take our grip and our solvent, and I use this little squeeze bottle, and I pour a liberal amount of solvent into the grip, making sure to cover that hole in the butt end of the grip with my finger, and I put my other thumb on the grip as well, and I give it a little shake to make sure that the solvent covers the entire inner surface area of that grip. Now you can pour out this solvent either from the front, or most people prefer to do it from the back. Oh, this is a grip I've used before, so that's not actually working. But make sure you make that all of that tape really nice and wet, and you can proceed to first pop this front piece onto that grip. Now use 2 hands, and in one continuous motion just slide it on. Now you can see from this little hole in the back there can be some solvent squirting out, and that is actually what the apron is for. So make sure you put it on straight, and if you're using your grips with logo up, make sure your logo is on straight. Not just the logo here in front, but also the logo on the back And if you want to check if your logo is straight, you can always get it out of the vise, put it down on the ground, and check it with the leading edge. You should have a couple of minutes left to make any adjustments. See, because it takes a while for that grip solvent to evaporate. The solvent that I use dries pretty quickly, and in about 15 minutes this club will be ready for use. But some other specialized grip solvents can be a little bit more oily and they can take a lot longer to dry out. So don't do this job on the morning of a tournament. Now to finish up, I take a little piece of paper again and I put some grip solvent on there to clean off the grip. And I just clean the grip and the shaft. Just leave it to dry. A couple of minutes, should be good to hit. To find out how to save a grip for reuse, check out this video. This is the coach signing off. I'll see you in the next one.